Mike Moments.
Welcome everybody to Mike Moments today. And today we're going to be talking about a few different topics. And this is Ollie, your co-host, with Jay as your other co-host. How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Oh, I'm alive, just day by day.
I feel that.
So, one thing I really wanted to talk about today is Honey. There's it's the web browser extension. We're having a lot of issues with that.
The scam of 2024.
A lot of famous influencers are using this as an ad.
We're using this
Were.
as an add-on.
You're
And
correct.
a lot of them were working with the company and affiliate marketing for it. Basically, they get a cut of every time that someone uses their affiliate link to buy something, they get a cut of the kickback, from the sale. But
Right.
if you touch any part of the Honey browser, it replaces the cookies and basically just swipes the sale from whoever the person is. So PayPal just pockets your $35 kickback on your item, and you can go F for yourself, for lack of a better term.
And it's all based on the last click something.
It's like the last click person or last click barrier or something like that. They tried first click, they tried like alternating clicks, and they figured out like the best way to do it is whoever clicks on it last gets the sale. And then when PayPal bought out Honey for $4 billion in cash, they decided that this was a cool idea. The weird thing is Linus Tech Tips. He runs a really popular YouTube channel. He brought this up back in like 2021, 2022, I think, on Reddit, when one of his fans posted and said they noticed that they were no longer affiliated with Honey and asked about why. And they said that for lack of a better term, they were, stealing kickback money. And
Right.
It just never got traction back then. And then Megalag put out a video about it, and now everyone's talking about it, and influencers are putting out apologies talking about how they're sorry for scamming people and how they've been scammed themselves, and it's been pretty wild.
Right. And
This will go down as one of the biggest scams, of the decade, just because billions of dollars have been taken here.
Well, and there's a lot of famous people that actually put it on their YouTube.
That's what I meant. Like, they have so much marketing, and they push marketing so much that they had 7.4 billion views total.
Right.
7.4 billion times people have seen a Honey ad. So everyone in the world has basically seen this ad at some point or time or another. But beyond that, it's weird because Markiplier, I was watching a video earlier, and it's a 3-minute video where someone found that Markiplier called this years ago. He actually called this and said, basically, and I quote, "My gut tells me not to trust Honey. I don't know what it is about it, but in my experience," he said, "nothing in this world comes for free." He's
Right.
like, so they're pushing marketing everywhere, offering everyone these deals. Where is the money coming from? He's like, where are they getting the money? He's like, because the whole point of the extension should be to lose money.
Right.
They're finding new coupons to save money. They should be losing money.
Right.
How do they have all this money to be thrown around at people? Where is it coming from?
Well, it's kind of like those apps.
And he even denied their deal. He turned it down. Said he wouldn't work with them because his gut told him something shady was going on. And someone found this clip and put it on YouTube. He called this years ago saying that there was just something off about this company and there was just something shady and strange going on.
It's kind of like those apps, that promise you all this money for playing games and stuff. And where are they getting the money? Like I get like certain games actually have like
They sell ad
ads.
space.
Right. But there are some like actual scam-based apps that promise you all this money.
Those are crypto miners.
Right.
They're basically just stealing your GPU off your computer and using it to mine cryptocurrency, and then you get a small kickback of that cryptocurrency as it mines it.
Right.
That's where the money comes from. It's mined crypto that they basically just immediately deposit into your account. That's all it is.
Interesting. But like in this article, it says if one user warned if you're using the Honey browser extension, remove it. This is a predatory and bad for customers, brands, and content creators.
Well, yeah,
So
because
it's
basically what it was allowing them to do is that it allows the business to control what coupon codes go out. So
right,
like if there's a 50% off coupon code from a manufacturer, like let's say Johnson or let's say Samsung puts out a coupon tomorrow for 50% off a TV, okay? It's a certain type of TV. All right, a specific type. So not a store, but a specific type.
right,
Walmart calls Honey and they pay Honey a monthly fee, all right? And they say, "Yo, Honey, we don't want this to show up for anyone who goes to walmart.com." And Honey's like, "Okay, well, you're a part of our monthly fee program, so that's not an issue." And then they say, "The most we're willing to do is 5 or 10%." And that's where you'll see, like if you Google it and go to images, I'm sure you can find, but the most common coupon out there will say like Honey 5 or Honey 10 or Honey 20.
right,
It's because like they've called the company and said, "Hey, this coupon exists. We don't want people to know about this coupon. So instead of you showing people this coupon, make a Honey 10% off coupon and push that." Because then people will see that that's the thing on there. See, it's the best deal possible, and then they'll check out.
right.
Even though in Megalag's video, you'll see that there are times where he has found coupon codes on the internet that have been better than what Honey has found him that have worked.
Well, and
He's-
half the time, Honey doesn't even offer you anything.
Well, no, I mean, there's a lot of the times it does work. A lot of the times it goes above and beyond, which is what's weird. Is sometimes it doesn't work at all. Sometimes it works like a bag of shit, and then sometimes it works just overly well. And that's what made his videos so long for him to produce, was he couldn't quite put his finger on like, why is it that sometimes it works extremely well, and then sometimes it just completely screws you. And it turns out it's based on the business owner and what the business owner is allowing onto the site, because they have like a database thing. So like say you find a coupon code for like, say the coupon code is 50.I, and you get 50% off that TV, right?
Right,
So you hit apply, it works, okay? According to Honey, it then states that it'll save it in its comprehensive database and share it for other customers. But it doesn't save anything because the business affiliate did not want that to be shown.
that genuinely makes me upset.
Well, it's fraud.
Right,
It is the textbook definition of fraud. They are stealing money from the influencers that they are paying to market their product. Basically, just
right.
taking that money right back out of their pocket. Just saying, like, here's 500 grand. And
Would-
then being like, "Oh, hey, you sold this many of this? Well, that's going to be $540,000. Thanks, bud." And they
Right.
don't even know it was taken from them. It pops up a sneaky little ad or like a little tab. Even if you hit just got it, when it tells you, like, "Oh, hey, we looked and didn't find," and the little cookie's jumping up and down, like, with a big old heart on, like some asshole.
Right,
Like, even in that situation, you hit got it, and you'll notice in the top left corner that little circle for just a half second where it opens up a new tab, and then it'll immediately go away because you're not supposed to even notice it. It's designed to literally open up a tab just to add that cookie and immediately delete the tab before the user notices it, just so it can get the last click. It is ridiculous.
it's absolutely
And
terrible.
nobody at this point even knows, like, this has been going on for so long. There's not even a rough estimate as to how much they've stolen from people.
My
There-
question is, why didn't they find out sooner? Like,
But again, they did. Linus Tech Tips posted, like, someone posted this on Reddit, like, back in, like, 2022.
but nobody gave a
Yeah, it just didn't gain traction for some reason. And he even exposed it and was like, "Hey, it turns out that they're doing some malpractice stuff, some shady shit that I'm not on board with, so I'm done with them." And they asked what happened, and he explained it,
right.
and it just never picked up traction. But then all of a sudden, Megalag does it, and people are like, "Whoa, crazy, bro."
It's insane, absolutely insane.
I mean, the most insane thing is that someone's going to have to be held accountable for this, and unfortunately, it's going to be PayPal. So if you own PayPal stock, sell now.
Well, and the other thing is they paid $4 billion?
Cash.
I don't.
Cash.
Is
Not
PayPal
assets.
even big enough to?
Oh, PayPal's a massive company. PayPal owns eBay.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
PayPal made its business by buying out like smaller bank companies that were online. They bought out eBay. They bought out like smaller banks. Like originally, I want to say at one point they owned Cash App, and they even sold Cash App to Sutton Bank. Like they've owned a lot of things. Like
So when did they first buy out Honey?
it was released in 2012. PayPal purchased it in 2020 for approximately $4 billion cash. According to a PayPal news release, when PayPal acquired Honey, PayPal's new shopping tool served about 17 million monthly active users.
Wow.
And this is a bold claim, I guess we'll have to find out, but apparently it saved users about $1 billion annually.
Saved or defrauded?
That's what we're going to have to find out. But according to this claim, right there, it says saved about $1 billion annually.
Wow. That's insane.
You know they're rich. They got $4 billion for their little stupid app that PayPal turned into a monster. Think about it. They just had this cute little idea of like, you know what? I really hate looking for coupon codes. And then like they were like, let's make this app, and they sell it to PayPal, and PayPal's like, money theft, money, yarg. Like, it's crazy. But then I love how like a lot of these influencers have already like signed up for other browser net extensions just like Honey that have the exact same like predatorial system going on. They're just caveman brain can't figure that out. So they just moved on to the next net browser that looks for coupon codes, even though they're doing the same thing. Honey's not the only one doing this, for the record. Almost every affiliate, like, okay, I gotta be careful how I word this. Affiliate marketing is not a scam. Affiliate marketing is an excellent way for certain people who are good at what they do, commission sales-wise, to earn money. However, 99.9% of browser extension programs that are designed to save you money that are free are scams. Nothing is free.
Right.
Nothing is free. I'm surprised we don't have the oxygen man coming to shut off our oxygen every month when we don't pay that bill too. Like, genuinely nothing is free. So if you see some app and it's pushing marketing everywhere, there are all these influencers and it's saving people money, $1 billion annually according to this in 2020. Where the hell is all the money coming from? How are they paying people?
Right.
It's a pyramid scheme. I'm just kidding. It's not a pyramid scheme. That was a whole different, like, crypto thing. There's a woman on the FBI's most wanted list right now who did a whole crypto scheme thing. She pyramid schemed people for years with a crypto coin. In my opinion, she's a legend. In the FBI's opinion, a criminal. One man's trash, another man's treasure.
I really think that this Honey stuff is going to turn into a class action lawsuit
It's a real honeypot.
So we're going to switch gears here. So we're going to talk about the Russian-linked tanker that was tugged to shore for suspected Baltic Sea sabotage.
I don't think it's suspected anymore. I think it's without a doubt this did happen.
It's guaranteed. The proof is all there.
Well, like I told you, there was a patent that they found, and the patent was made in China, and the patent is specifically for equipment that cuts cables underwater that are sitting on the ground of the sea. Now, what are the odds of that? Under the sea. Cutting cables under the sea. You know?
So for people that don't know what happened, where
Basically,
did the ship come from?
A Chinese vessel that was coming from an island. I cannot remember what island specifically it is, but it's one of those islands that Russia kind of uses for its like shadow fleet of oil tankers that it's still selling fuel with. It was a Chinese ship that was under the flag of one of these islands, and it was sailing with a Russian captain. It cut some cables from Lithuania to Estonia, some telecommunication cables and some other types of cables. Basically like a 6-foot cable.
Right.
A $2 billion cable or something like that. It's like a very expensive cable.
And mind you, those cables are absolutely ginormous.
Well,
Like they're
I
super
said,
thick.
I meant 6 feet, like in diameter, not like long.
Right.
Like 6 feet in diameter. They're massive.
And these connect countries to each
This
other.
is what connects like internet infrastructure,
Right.
telecommunications, like wire transfers. Basically,
Right.
anything you've ever tried to do online with another country that's not a phone call, that is not satellite related, goes through one of these wires under the sea. They just cut it like a the electrician. Just cut right through it. Didn't even check the heat, nothing. Just neep.
You know that somebody messed with your electricity and power outlets and stuff. Do you know how to tell that? If they don't put the screws straight up and down, you know it was an electrician that messed with it.
If you had anyone other than an electrician mess with it, and you didn't do it yourself, you don't deserve your testicles. So just do it yourself. It's not that hard.
It's really not.
You YouTube it.
Um,
But yeah, the crazy part of the story is just the fact that they spent almost like 2 months at sea telling everybody that they're not going to come aboard and check anything, and that they were just going to wait it out. But eventually, it looks like somebody ran out of food. Sorry.
right.
Because they get on board and they find what spy equipment. They find this dude is a possible Russian spy. He's the only Russian person on board. Everyone else was Chinese. He's the only Russian who's clearly an Eastern person, not an Asian person.
Right.
And he doesn't even speak any Chinese, so nor does the crew speak any Russian. So it'd be kind of weird, having a captain that can't talk to you. Almost like they know how to run the ship themselves or something, and he wasn't really the captain,
Right.
There's definitely some foul play going on there, but, what else is new in good old Mother Russia?
So Finnish authorities actually seized the tanker. Its name was the Eagle S.
Well, that's what I meant when I said, like, they got on board and found the spy equipment.
Right.
They finally did seize it, and they took the man into custody as well. The Russian spy, allegedly.
So actually, the proof is all there because this ship had 2 anchors. One of them was missing, and they said they found it on the bottom of the sea.
Well, yeah, and anyone who's actually familiar with anything naval will tell you that missing an anchor is just something that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. You don't set
Right.
sail with 2 anchors and come back to port with 1.
Right.
I've been on a boat at least 1,000 times in my life. It's never happened. I've never even heard of it happening. Where
Right.
somebody's left, and all ships, all military vessels and tankers have 2 anchors. And I've never even heard of a ship coming back and being like, well, we lost one. Like, it just doesn't happen. You don't leave port with 2 and come back with 1.
Right.
And if you do, you told somebody already about it.
Right.
You didn't just show up without it. Like, the moment it happened, something happened. Everyone on board noticed and felt it, and it was immediately reported that, hey, the anchor's gone now. That was what that giant jolt was that threw Tim overboard.
Right. And
Like-
you know when you are dragging an anchor with a ship that big.
Absolutely. You will be reduced by about 29 knots or more and just drag alone.
Right.
So, imagine, if you will, like trying to drive your car with the parking brake on.
It makes a big difference.
No, I'm talking like in the feel of it as well. There's
Right.
no possible way they did not know. The feeling of the ship, the feeling of your hand on the rudder of the ship, the feeling of the weight of the acceleration of the ship, the feeling of the ship underneath your feet. Everything would be indicating to you that something is wrong.
Right.
Almost like you were having your handbrake up and trying to drive your car. Everything would be indicating to you that something in your car is wrong, wouldn't it?
Right. I know I've done it a couple times. I've left the
I mean-
driveway with the parking brake on, and I
But
noticed down the road.
But yeah, everybody has, but they notice, right?
Right. And we turn it off.
Has anyone in the world really just never noticed and been like, wow, my car just really needs 9,000 RPMs today for some reason? Like, it's just really put, like, I missed a quarter tank of gas getting to work today. I don't know how.
if
2 miles.
if you're a listener and you have done that and you haven't noticed, until you got home after your trip. Please tell us the story because that's kind of funny.
Yeah, leave it in the comments. We'd like to hear it. And I'll definitely shout those out sometime and read them off because that would be a good time. I would love to hear that kind of stuff.
The
But
crazy thing that
go ahead.
is about this is Russia has denied all involvement in any of the Baltic infrastructure incidents, which is crazy because there was a Russian commander on that ship.
Well, it wasn't a Russian commander. It was someone who was claiming to just be a Russian citizen. But when he's the captain,
I'm
and
sorry, Captain, you're right.
and he doesn't speak the native language of the people running the ship, doesn't speak a word of it,
Right.
can't communicate with anybody on board, and nobody can communicate with him. But he's the captain of the ship. That kind of sends a lot of red flags, doesn't it?
Yeah. Very big red flags.
And then they find surveillance equipment on it when they, got on the ship, and they find a whole bunch of spy equipment, multiple passports, fake IDs. Like
Right.
this guy was definitely up to no good. But in other news, we are, let's switch gears here. We're sending tomorrow our $1.2 billion aid package. And just so people are fully aware, this is not $1.2 billion check. It's $1.2 billion in equipment we're
As
going
mentioned,
to get rid of.
as mentioned in our previous episode, these are things like tanks, weapons, things of that sort.
Like M1A1 Abrams, when we're on the M1A3 and M1AX Abrams.
Right.
We're not even making these tanks anymore, but we're paying a lot of money to keep a lot of these things in storage. Like old M113 infantry fighting vehicles from World War II and the Korean War. We have thousands of them, or at least we did. I know we gave a lot of them to Ukraine already, which is why you see a lot of videos of them going up on trenches with them. We're not handing them just free money and free shit. We're planning on getting rid of this stuff. It is going to cost us significant money to recycle these materials.
Right.
Or we can donate them to a good cause. We're not just handing them a check. That's what I find crazy, is that people think we're just like, hey, Zelensky, here's your $1.2 billion check we promised.
And this way we're not just throwing it away. We're using them.
And it's because a lot of people are worried that Donald Trump's going to completely cut off support for Ukraine.
Well, the other thing that's positive about us delivering this is we can actually see how these are used, and we can learn from them, and we can advance our technology even more.
I mean, yes and no. It's more a case study because this is a lot of older tech. So this is a lot of stuff that we've stopped using already and moved on to better tech.
Right.
So it kind of just more reaffirms, and I think it's more of a power statement for us that our oldest technology is whooping the shit out of your best technology, like your T80MV, or U, or whatever, whichever one your best one is. I can't remember if it's the U or the MV or M, but the T80 or the T90, whichever one they want to claim is better now, even though they're both dog shit. You take that tank, and you find it's being destroyed by a 20 to 25 millimeter Bushmaster autocannon on a Bradley made in 1992. And the original ones came out in 89.
Right.
But one that destroyed a T90 with high explosive, like, ammunition, so not even armor piercing ammunition, high explosive, so infantry rounds. It took out a tank, the most advanced Russian tank. And this was like last year. But that Bradley was made in like 1992. And it took out a tank that was made in 2024 that is considered Russia's most advanced fighting vehicle they have.
It's insane.
It's a new generation of warfare, according to them. And they ended up just knocking all the sensors out by just shooting them with high explosive rounds, and then the tank's turret lost control and crashed. They had to bail out. Simple as that. Guy said he learned it from playing War Thunder, where to hit the tank at.
Not sponsored, but War Thunder is an amazing game. I love that.
War Thunder, hit us up.
Right. Russian air defenses have recently downed an airliner flight.
Yeah, from Azerbaijan.
I know it's a very popular topic. A lot of people have gone through it.
The big update for the day is that the Azerbaijani president has actually spoken about it and demanded some sort of apology Even though I'm pretty sure Putin apologized for it yesterday, which is kind of funny, because like he's demanding an apology the day after the apology.
Right.
He's an idiot. They're all dumb. But anyway, yeah, it killed quite a few people, but surprisingly, more people survived than what probably should have.
Right.
How many people did it say survived?
Oh, let's see.
Like I know it was I know that like what was it, 29 people died?
There
No,
were
29 survivors.
Yeah, there were 29 survivors, and I think 30, 30 something were killed.
What are the that is outrageous odds.
Right.
Usually everybody dies in a plane crash. And for the record, if you ever hear that stupid more like legend that the brace position is designed to snap your neck because it's cheaper for them to kill you than it is for them to take a lawsuit, whoever told you that, punch them in their holster, because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard with that. I heard this one the other day, and apparently this has been circulating for years, and
What?
I had never heard this. That apparently, yeah, these people genuinely believe that the brace position, where they tell you to basically brace for impact and put your head
Right.
to the seat.
It's part of the initial safety briefing that nobody pays attention to.
Yeah, they're trying to come up with this theory, and apparently it's been going around for years, that brace position is designed specifically to kill you upon impact by snapping your neck, and that's why they want your head where it's at.
If anybody
Because-
agrees with this, please show me the proof.
Because according to them, this is their statement on it, that it would be cheaper for them to kill you than it would be for them to pay out the lawsuits from the crashed plane. Even though I'm pretty sure there's been no actual evidence of this ever like occurring where
Right.
they had to pay out like a whole mass number of victims, and we're like, well, we need to come up with some sort of way to kill them, I guess. Like,
Well, just think about Sully on the Hudson.
well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, like, just because of my time in the Navy, do you want to know the reason why they tell you to put your head down like that?
I would love to know.
Because when a cabin depressurizes, items tend to fly around. And what happens when your head is sticking up and items are flying around at 100 miles per hour? What happens? Items are flying around a depressurized cabin at hundreds of miles per hour, and your head is above the seat.
Somebody's going to get hit and they're going to die.
Exactly. It is designed for you to keep your head down so those flying items get hit by the seat.
Right.
And they don't run into you and kill you directly. Because there have been multiple times where people have been killed by direct impact of lunch trays, cups.
Their luggage.
There's a case for a thing of peanuts. A package of peanuts from a plane. 3 ounces of peanuts embedded in a man's skull because the cabin depressurized.
That's
They
insane.
started, this was in Brazil. The plane started to go down, and this peanut went from the front of the plane, and then it started going all the way to the back at like 190 miles per hour. And the dude stuck his head up and embedded in the side of his skull and killed him immediately.
That's like the crazy stories you hear about tornadoes throwing things through metal signs like wood and, things that you would never expect to go through
Yeah, nature's
something else.
Nature's just something you don't mess with nature. Like, nature's a you don't mess with her.
Right. Ukrainian military drones have repeatedly targeted Russia's southern regions in the recent months, triggering Russian air defenses. And this is why the Russian air defenses were active at the time that this civilian aircraft was passing through, which I find really weird that a civilian plane would be passing through that area. I'm baffled.
It's an error in the flight path. It happens all the time.
Right.
That's why a lot of these planes do get shot down. I mean, you're dealing with a country that's not as technologically advanced as the United States and European countries and some other Asian countries are when it comes to aviation.
Right.
I mean, think about how quick aviation popped up in our country. The Wright brothers took their first flight in 1903. We had our first international airport by 1923.
It's amazing.
Within 20 years, we went from people witnessing the first flight ever to being able to pay for intercontinental flight. Within 2 decades. And Pan Am, if you don't know anything about early aviation, Pan Am ruled the world.
Right.
Which obviously they're out of business now. But if you want to know anything about Pan Am, watch the movie The Aviator with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. It shows what Pan Am was like in the 60s, even involving the fact that like thousands of women would go to interviews there. Because you got paid a lot of money, you got to travel the world.
Right.
And Pan Am was notorious for the customer experience. So they only hired like the most attractive women with the best like charismatic skills and all that. So like it was a really high, really sought after position. And literally it was like you ever seen like American Idol, how people like line up for that for days?
Oh yeah.
That's how it used to be for an interview for a flight attendant position at Pan Am.
That's crazy.
Just imagine beautiful women as far as the eye can see. Like just trying to get like 2 spots. And I'm not even kidding. Like for like 2 spots. And they would have to do like a talent portion, do like 3 sets of interviews, like all this stuff just to be a flight attendant.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But apparently if you're a pilot in those days, you ruled the world.
I don't know if it's still accurate, but I know it used to be like 6 months of training just to be a flight attendant.
It's probably something similar to that now. I mean, if anything, I feel like it would have gotten a little more because
It's
like
insane.
there's probably a lot more safety protocols and stuff
Right.
you have to learn now than there used to be, and
Thanks to 9/11.
well, and thanks to Boeing lying about safety reports for about 10 years, thanks whistleblowers. But remember, the 737 MAX was not exactly what we call a quality plane.
Right. This isn't the first time they've shot down
Hell no.
a plane
Hell no. Look
that
up
they shouldn't have.
Look up the 80s. Just look up the 80s. I mean, they've had many a false flag takedowns on passenger planes.
Right.
The thing that makes this one bad is because like these are missiles that had to have been launched by a human being. This is not something that would have been done by AI.
And they are launching a criminal investigation against it, they said.
Yeah, Azerbaijan and Russian federal prosecutors, because they have to be so dystopian. I'm sure they're going to put on their futuristic uniforms and meet in some field somewhere and exchange, for some reason, floppy disks, even though they're wearing the most dystopian, like, 20,000 AD uniform you've ever seen. They're going to be like, "You have said floppy disk?" And he's going to be like, "Oh, I have cassette." They're going to have that one guy who's like, "You bring VHS?" And he's like, "Oh, I only brought the Betamax." And he's like, "I don't have Betamax player. What do I do?" And he's like, "Well, I guess you're not getting Intel. Buy Betamax." If you don't know what Betamax is, it is a very, very failed format that tried to beat VHS out in the 90s. It was about the size of your iPhone. It was a VHS tape about the size of your iPhone. And it was called Betamax.
I have an iPhone 13, thank you.
I mean, it was about the size of... It doesn't matter which iPhone, honestly. Like, it was smaller than a normal VHS tape.
Right.
And basically no movie would have been able to be over 60 minutes without having a second tape.
Right. That is right.
So, like, Betamax did not work. But I feel like that's what they're using for Russian intelligence, just because, like, they're like, Americans don't have Betamax. Like,
going back old school.
Like, even though we made it, they're like, stupid Americans. They would never think of using Betamax. We use Betamax. Even though this is an entire war being fought on Discord and Telegram.
Right. That is just amazing. Like, I can't believe they're using, like, what are these gamer softwares?
I mean, it's essentially, it was developed to be like a gaming, like, server. Like a place for you to own your own, like, server for you and your friends to talk on games.
Right.
But the way that it's set up perfectly for military warfare. Because you can set, like, chat command leaders. And then you can set, like, squad chats based on that. So, like, basically on your computer, you could hit A and be talking to, like, squad A.
Right.
Hit S, you have squad B. Hold down, D, squad 3, F, squad 4, and then if you hold down T, it's all of them at the same time. Like, everybody hears it. And then if you hit, like W, it's 1 and 2 that hear it. Or if you hit E, or I'm sorry, like Q, it's, like 3 and 4 that hear it. Like, there's so many ways you can set it up. And then you can take it to where, like, you can make, 1 and 2 connect to 3 and 4.
Right.
Via your computer. Just be like, oh, I need to connect these 2 channels real quick.
And the crazy thing
and then
is,
they can talk to each other.
The crazy thing is that Russia doesn't have the technology to hack into this.
No, they're using it too.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they banned it and then realized it was the only thing they could use. Because we're using two-way radios.
Right.
Those kept getting intercepted. I mean, they were using unencrypted two-way radios you would buy from, like, Walmart. Like, just
dumb.
They were literally using walkie-talkies. Like, literal walkie-talkies and cell phones. For their telecommunications, for war. And then they banned Discord. And then looked into, well, what's Ukraine using? Because they don't have a domestic program. And if we don't have one, they certainly don't have one. And then they looked into it and was like, what is this? And then they popped on Discord and they were like, Mein Gott! Like the Germans did when they saw a Tom and Jerry episode where the rat turned the gun back on the cat and it blew the cat's head off. And they decided we should do that to our STG and curve the barrel. Like, because you got to think, where did the Germans come up with the idea of a curved barrel on a gun?
That doesn't actually work, by the way.
But, like, where did they even come up with that idea? Like, they saw that Tom and Jerry episode where he curled the gun back towards the cat, and they were like, Mein Gott! Like, we need to make this now, Mein Gott!
But anyways, back on topic.
We were never off topic, but okay.
I'm amazed because this is not the only plane incident that I am significantly worried about in the Russia sense.
Please do explain further.
So the Prigozhin crash.
Prigozhin?
Yes.
More about him.
So he was originally on tape begging for...
The way his plane was taken down was different, though. Like, the investigative report on that from, like, third-party agencies indicate that the explosion would have came from inside the plane in Prigozhin's case.
Right.
So, like,
it was extremely deliberate.
Yeah, like, there was an explosive device inside of the plane that went off and took the plane down.
Which is only a hair of the corruption we're going to be talking about later on in this episode, please.
Like there's not any footage of a missile hitting, nothing, like, but it did explode.
Right.
And then it started to go down. And it reminds me a lot of that Russian mill blogger who received that award of his own head in, like, gold. And it turned out to be a bomb. Ukrainians literally blew this guy up with his own golden head.
Wow.
It's one of the most ironic deaths in all of human history. And it was in one of Prigozhin's cafes, too. I don't know if you know this, but Prigozhin was originally Putin's chef.
Really?
That's how they met. Prigozhin was a restaurateur. He had a very, very expensive upscale restaurant in Moscow. Putin became a frequent visitor of that restaurant. And they started a very close relationship based on that. One thing led to another, and he became a military warlord.
And those who don't know...
Chef, military warlord, those are only like one step apart,
Those who don't know, Prigozhin is the chief financier, co-founder, and frontman of Wagner Group as well.
Let me go ahead and say it. Yevgeny Prigozhin.
I could not pronounce that first name if I wanted to.
Yevgeny.
Yevgeny.
Yeah. Yevgeny Prigozhin.
I'm never going to remember how to say that again in my life.
Yevgeny. Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Yevgeny Prigozhin. Chief financier.
That was actually pretty close, yeah. Yevgeny Prigozhin.
But the crazy thing is, in that plane crash, almost everybody in the Wagner group was killed.
And that honestly should have been a huge red flag to them because Belarus was the country I was thinking of yesterday that I couldn't think of. He Everyone said he was going to be safe because the president of Belarus talked Putin into allowing him safe passage to Belarus to be exiled essentially. And there was some confirmation that he was there for a little bit. Multiple for some reason they took photos of him in his whitey tighties to embarrass him, which in my opinion is just kind of
Childish.
it's childish because that dude straight up called out your defense minister and your secretary of defense and was just like, yo, you guys are corrupt pieces of shit. You're letting my guys die. So either stop it or we're leaving.
Right.
And then they were just like, okay, here's ammo. And then he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna use this on you guys.
Right. But didn't Prigozhin actually march back to Moscow and nobody shot at him because they didn't know what to do?
I wouldn't even say it was that. It was a really weird situation, and I wouldn't even really necessarily call it a coup. I don't think it has all the characteristics that define what a coup is. It's not a coup d'etat. He did not attempt to take over the country. The goal
Right.
of him marching on Moscow was for him to get answers for what he needed.
Right.
He was fed up with asking for shit. He wanted shit. He was going to go to the source of where the shit is and ask, where is my shit? He wasn't planning on walking there and icing Putin and being like, my country now. Like every other coup d'etat. He wasn't planning on taking over the country.
Don't get me wrong on my view on this,
He
but
even knew he did not have the manpower to take over Moscow, even if he would have
Right.
tried right then and there. Half of his forces were 500 kilometers away and had taken over a completely different city.
but
They weren't even in Moscow.
they were one of the best
No,
that they had.
the best. Bakhmut would not have fallen if it wasn't for Wagner.
Right. So in a way,
They were the most They were the only battle-hardened, experienced troops that had actually seen war. I mean, they'd been fighting in Syria for the past decade against these forces that just took down Assad. These are the forces that have literally been fighting there daily for the past decade. So these people they're experienced. They've seen war. These are tough guys. These were not pushovers that were in Prigozhin's army. That's why it was a big deal that they were dying as much as they were, because of lack of ammunition at that. They were dying basically by getting shot in the back retreating, because they had no more supplies to fight back with.
crazy.
These are tough, actual, valuable soldiers.
Right.
And they're just getting knocked off left and right. So, of course, if you were in charge, you'd be a little pissed off too. But if you look at it from Grozhnev and Shroigev, or whatever the hell his name is, if you look at it from those two standpoints, the reason why you don't give Prigozhin that kind of military assets is because he will turn around and go to Moscow.
Right.
Which is what happened when he got his stuff. He was like, you know what? It's a little too late. I think I'll march on Moscow now. But I don't think he was I don't think he was looking to overthrow Putin, because I mean Shoigu lost his job over this. He was taken down as the defense minister by Putin a couple weeks or so after this incident occurred. Putin realized he was incompetent.
Right.
And realized we can't have you running the country if you're afraid of a PMC leader. We are the Russian military. We have to have power. If we show that we're afraid of this PMC leader and we don't give him guns because we're scared of him, that makes us look really weak. So he just replaced Shoigu, which needed to happen anyway. The dude had been in that position for 20 years. And anyone who knows anything about the first Chechen War, didn't go so hot for Russia.
And just for reference, this war started in 2020, I believe.
February of 2022.
Okay, so February of 2022.
Early February. I want to say it was February 8th or something like that. Anywhere between the 2nd and the 9th is when the first forces crossed over.
And
because I predicted this 2 weeks before it happened. I said it was going to be on the first day of
you did.
The first freeze. The first freeze of the winter of 2022. They were going to march. And the first day it got below 32. all 250,000 crossed that border, and I was like, motherfucker.
um, but he was asking for ammunition for weeks, and we're gonna dive in deep.
He had 3 different videos he had made about it.
Right.
Where he's just yelling at them, one in front of the town with his guys exclaiming that they're gonna leave, and then one where he literally stood with a backdrop of 200 dead PMCs behind him in camera view, saying,
Right.
look at them. Look at all of them. Wasted. Just useless, wasted. All because you didn't give them stuff.
Because of their corruption.
Yeah, that's basically all Prigozhin was really doing, was being like, hey, like, I know this shit's corrupt. I'm a part of the corruption. But there's gotta be a line somewhere. Like,
Right.
when does this corruption stop? Like, I mean, we all know it occurs, but I don't think anyone really understood how deep, like, how deep it went until this war began. And then Russia started to realize, like, oh, like, a lot of people have been fucking us, not just them. We've been fucking us. Like, Russia's been fucking Russia, like, this whole time.
Right.
It's crazy.
Going on to the next topic.
I haven't slept in like 2 days. Like, for real, I didn't sleep last night at all. I've been awake all night.
Jesus. But going on to the next topic here, we're going to talk about Russia versus Finland. So it's not just Russia versus Ukraine with other people secretly joining in. Now it's Russia versus Finland.
Well, it's more that Finland's actually directly, like, threatened Russia at this point, that they will cross over if, like, they do anything stupid.
Right.
Like, Finland has already stated that they've been preparing for Russia for about 10 years.
Oh, I would be too.
No, like, they stated they have. Like, they have been preparing for Russia for 10 years, and
Right.
they're ready, according to them. Like, they're basically telling Russia, if you're gonna do it, bring it.
Right.
And if you're gonna do it now, and bring it.
It's like teasing your big brother.
Except for, like, teasing your big brother when he's already beating the shit out of your middle brother.
Right.
Well, slowly attritioning, battling your middle brother.
But you know what the little brother learns from the mistake?
While your cousin just got, liberated from his bullying. That's Syria, for the record.
So Russia has rehearsed an attack on Finland and the Baltic countries and is ready to take significant risks. So
The
basically,
significant risks is what I'm talking about. They're basically stating, if you're going to rehearse attacks on us, then attack us. We're ready.
right.
We've been preparing for 10 years for you.
And you know that's going to do now that's Finland is now a NATO country, which is why Russia is attacking, because back in
Well, no, don't say that. Russia's not attacking Finland at the moment.
you're right. They are rehearsing attacks
They
on
have
Finland.
rehearsed an attack. We don't know about multiple. We know that they have rehearsed an attack on
Okay.
Finland. That's all we know.
Right.
But we know that Finland caught them in the act. And basically, we also know that according to the old borders of the Soviet Union, Finland would have fallen under that curtain.
Right.
So,
Which basically means that no countries on the border of Russia can become NATO.
well, that was the original agreement we had with them. We signed a treaty back in the 60s stating that we would not allow any border countries of them to join NATO on the condition that we would not allow any communist countries to border us.
Right.
That's kind of where the whole, like, Cuban Missile Crisis thing got avoided, was when Gorbachev basically called up JFK and was like, hey, man, if you just took your missiles out of Istanbul, like, just remove them out of Turkey, we'll take ours out of Cuba. If you take your missiles out of strike range of us, we'll take ours out of strike range of yours. And JFK was like, oh, really? Deal. And we took our nukes out of Turkey. And then they withdrew out of Cuba. Simple as that.
But times do change. And
But it's the same circumstance. And this is going to make me sound like a Russian shill to an extent, but they're just kind of playing eye for an eye on this one.
right.
We put nukes in Turkey. Nukes that could have struck Moscow.
Right.
In return, what did they do? They put nukes in Havana, where they could have struck D.C.
Right.
They matched our move with the exact same move.
And that's kind of like the U.S.
And what are we doing now? We told them nobody on your border would ever be able to join NATO. Estonia, Latvia, Finland, Sweden, all of them are in NATO. They all border Russia to an extent. So what is Russia doing? Well, you broke the agreement first, so now here are the consequences. Like, yes, should he be doing this war? Absolutely not.
Right.
Should he be stopping this madness immediately? Absolutely. But at the same time, we have been breaking every fucking contract we've ever signed with this man. And then we wonder why he's crazy and why he's doing what he's doing. Just fucking keep our word.
Right.
Like, I love Latvia. I love Estonia. Estonians are great people. They genuinely are. But should they be in NATO? No, in my opinion, they shouldn't. No country that borders Russia should have been ever allowed into NATO. We wouldn't be in half of the predicaments we're in right now. We'd probably still be fighting in the Middle East over some oil or liquid dinosaur or something, but
my concern is with Finland joining NATO. If Russia goes to attack,
yeah, our Article 5 will be initiated at that point. But Article 5 does not state that every country goes to war. It states that an attack on one is an attack on all.
Right.
And that, and I quote, every country will initiate their own proportional response.
The U.S. motto.
Yeah. Basically, every country can act however they feel fit for the situation. So if they feel that they need to go to war, then it's war. If they feel a couple of airstrikes on some major targets will do it, we're going to airstrike.
But they have to follow the war laws. But Russia's not doing that.
But I'm saying, like, they don't technically have to do anything. That's what Article 5 is saying. They could just simply say, okay, it happened. Move on. Sorry, Finland. Sorry, Finland. Move on. That's a real world possibility. That's what Article 5 also states, that they have the diplomatic choice.
Right.
They have the choice to issue a proportionate response. If they decide the proportionate response is it's not our problem, that's their choice. And they're unfortunately allowed to make that choice. They just have to recognize internationally that they were attacked.
Interesting.
That's all they really have to do is get on TV and be like, as a nation, we were attacked. According to NATO Article 5, this country was attacked. We are a part of NATO, therefore, part of Article 5, we were attacked.
That would be tricky to play down to the civilians.
Not really, because if they join NATO, the civilians are already aware of what it is.
Right.
The civilians are a big decision maker in a country joining NATO. It's usually the civilians that want it more than the actual lawmakers, because it just adds a lot more like bureaucratic red tape to everything they're trying to do.
Right.
So it's more like a civilian guarantee. Like, if someone were to come fuck with us, we want to know and make sure that the blue helmets are going to come in and, you know, restore peace and help us.
Right.
So, like Estonia and Latvia never would have joined if it wasn't for their citizens wanting it. Like, think about it. They're just terrified that Russia's going to do what they did before. Invade them, take them over, turn them into a bloc. Turn them into another puppet state like they were before.
Right.
That's what all these Baltic countries are terrified of. And the crazy thing is an old Roman individual. In fact, I want to say it was either Hannibal Barca or Hamilcar Barca, one of the two. But one of the two specifically stated that the end of the world would no doubt come from war, and it would be started by, and I quote, one of them dumb idiots from the Baltics. And that was, what, over 2,000 years ago that was stated? And he wasn't wrong. The end of the world will be caused by some dip in the Baltics. He was very right. He was even smart enough to recognize that people born in the Baltics are crazy people. He's like, they're on a different level. You ever met a Chechen? He's like, those are the kind of people you leave one bullet in your mag for you. Like, you don't want to get caught by them.
Right.
They're a different breed.
It's just crazy what Russia's doing. Okay, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. Viewers, please like and subscribe if you want to hear more. Um, Next week is gonna be a fun one. We're gonna be talking about some interesting topics that are kind of controversial. Thank you very much for listening in, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. And this has been a Mike Moments Today's Moment.